Behavior change is the cure-all. I'm telling you. Behavior change, I coach a lot of people. It is way harder to change behavior than perception. I really believe that. I think human beings don't change their behavior very well, and that's why accountability and group coaching is so important.
A lifestyle is a change in identity. That's really what that is. When you change your lifestyle, you're changing your identity. So I had that moment in the shower where all my best thoughts come to me, that it's not that I'm dieting. I have changed my lifestyle, which is a change in my identity. Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1033, Could You Be Afraid of Success? That was a very deep topic, and we were very tired, so we were jeffing hard on that episode. Today, for episode number 1034, happy Saturday. One huge reason many people don't stick with their goals. So, I have been making very good progress when it comes to weight loss. As you know, Alan and I are committed to losing 10 pounds by August 1st. I think we started 8 weeks ago because we have 2 weeks left. So we said we're going to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. And I was thinking to myself, well, what really changed? Because I was thinking, Alan, I told you, I'm going to continue dieting down to 165 pounds. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I don't know if I'm going to have enough necessity to do that because I'm not going to be talking about it publicly. You and I aren't necessarily going to have like a challenge going where we're keeping each other accountable. And I thought to myself, okay, well, why do I think I actually can? Like, what has to shift for me? And I started to think about how I've been approaching this weight loss segment. And I realized that the biggest thing that has changed is my identity around fitness, nutrition, and weight loss. And what I mean by that is before I was very much thinking to myself, I am the type, and this is your identity, I am the type of person blank, right? I am the type of person who eats whatever he wants when he wants. That was kind of my identity before because I was working really hard as a podcaster and as a coach and as a speaker. And when I was done, I wanted to be done. I didn't really want to diet. I didn't want to worry about what I was eating. We can actually afford to order food now, so I wanted to do that. You know, that is something that I longed for 3 years ago. Now, I have shifted my identity more into I am the type of person who makes progress in fitness consistently. I am the type of person who, and this is an interesting pivot, who can eat whatever he wants as long as it fits in this box. That's been the biggest shift for me is I'm this weekend, I will get a pizza. It will be a large, thin crust pepperoni pizza from Domino's. It has, I think, 1,680 calories in it, and that will be the only thing I eat all day. But my identity now is I am the type of person who makes sure what I eat fits within my daily necessity. And I realize, and a lot of this came from group coaching, we got feedback from several people that graduated group coaching that after they stopped group coaching, they stopped tracking their habits. And I realized that the problem and the reason that probably happened is because in their identity, it wasn't, I am the type of person who tracks my habits regardless of the day. Or I am the type of person who is always focused on getting to the next level. I realized that it's not, yeah, the accountability is huge. Being in group coaching is, obviously, that part is huge. And the behaviors that we helped them adopt and practice is also huge. But I don't know that we actually got to the identity level. And I was thinking about that when I was thinking about your and I's fitness. You and I are completely different in our identities now. We have to be, right? I'm curious to see what yours is maybe pivoted to. But that's the reason I wanted to do this episode, because I know in the past, I'm guilty of trying to give people new tactics. And that's great. New tactics are obviously very important, especially if you have a new piece of awareness. But if you do not allow yourself to change your identity, that's where long-term change really comes. If you think of somebody who's lost a lot of weight, they had to change their identity from I'm the type of person who blank to I'm the type of person who blank. And the reason, and the last thing before I let you get a word in edgewise here, I was thinking that this was my thought. Alan and I are both going to hit our mark. We're going to lose our 10 pounds in our 10 weeks. Awesome. Great. Love it. After that, what am I going to do? What's my necessity? Where is my reason for doing that? Where is my accountability? And I literally said to myself, I said, Kevin, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And that clicked for me because that means a lifestyle is a change in identity. That's really what that is. When you change your lifestyle, you're changing your identity. So I had that moment in the shower where all my best thoughts come to me, that it's not that I'm dieting. I have changed my lifestyle, which is a change in my identity. So that is where this episode came from. It came from the shower and me in the shower. And here we are today doing it.
Most episodes do.
Those are the best ones.
Well, to share with everyone, on group coaching, we take everyone through this very simple framework where there's 3 layers, and the inner layer is identity, the second layer is process, and the third layer is result. So the result is the goal that you set, so 10 pounds in 10 weeks. The process is, for Kev, it's eat less than 1,500 calories per day, except for on Saturday when you eat that 1,680 calorie pizza. Track your weight every day and exercise daily.
Yeah.
Then you've got the identity, which is I am an athlete, or I am the type of person who consistently makes progress towards their fitness goals. And I think all 3 of these are connected, and identity is the most important one, but you really do need all 3. And what I think is fascinating is that they feed each other. So, for example, if Kev sets a goal to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, what my brain does is say, okay, what's the identity that he's going to have to adopt in order to actually start doing that process of tracking his calories, working out consistently, and weighing himself? And the identity that he really does have to embody one way or another, on one level or another, is that he's an athlete. And this is why I often talk about how I used to be a fitness coach, fitness model, fitness competitor. The amount of time and effort on a day-to-day basis that I used to invest in fitness was significantly more. My whole world revolved around fitness. My whole career revolved around fitness. When you have a photo shoot every 2 months and you have a competition every 6 months or every year, and then you have people that you're coaching specifically about how to stay as fit as possible, how to get as fit as possible, and your whole world is thinking, talking, acting around this idea of fitness, your identity becomes what you label yourself. So fitness coach, fitness model, fitness competitor. Even before I looked like a fitness coach or a fitness model or a fitness competitor, I was saying those things. And the reason why I do that is because I know that our identity shapes our actions, and then our actions can either reinforce or degrade our identity. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. He says that every behavior you do and don't do is a vote for the type of person you'd like to become. So we set these goals to be a millionaire, to be wealthy, or whatever, but we don't necessarily set the identity. But they're connected, because sometimes you set the goal and then you're like, okay, now I have to work on my identity. Or sometimes you say, I want this identity, and then you have to create goals. But I think that this episode, it's really important to make sure that you have these things in alignment. Because one time Kevin and I talked about coaching, and he was like, coach me on how to be a better coach. And I kind of told him that I'm not really just helping people with tactics, and tactics are great, but deeper understanding is really where things change long term, I should say, long terms. And now I understand strategy and tactics are good too, for sure. You need strategies, tactics, and deeper understanding, quite frankly. Yeah. But in terms of deeper understanding, here's all I'm doing with my clients. They tell me what their goal is: better business, better body, better life, more wealth, more health, better relationship, achieve X amount in revenue by X date. I'll give you an example. One of my clients wants a net worth of $100 million. So we reverse engineered it. And I taught her the 7 fundamentals of finance, and I taught her how to calculate net worth. So for those of you who don't know, net worth is very simple. It's total assets minus total debts plus cash on hand. And again, this isn't a finance episode, so we won't go too deep into that. But really what we're working on, Kev, in those calls is I'm getting her to see herself and the world more accurately. And then I'm getting her to shift her identity into being the type of person who works more consistently. If you want to build $100 million worth of net worth, you better also consider yourself hardworking. You better become a hardworking person. If you're not going to be able to achieve that goal. So for the listeners, ask yourself, do I have goals that my identity is not in alignment with? And if so, what is the identity that I do need to share? One last story before I let you get a word in here, Kev. I remember I was at a photo shoot with a friend of mine. And this friend of mine says something along the lines of, we were being playful and we wanted to race. There was like a lake. It was a photo shoot on this nice lake, this beach. It's a weekend. And something came up about doing a race somehow. And she's like, oh, I would smoke you in a race. Alan, I was a sprinter. See, identity. I was a sprinter. You're too lanky. You're too big. You're too tall. You're too whatever. I was a sprinter. I'm going to smoke you. I'm like, let's go. It's not going to be close. And I know that, right? But her identity is I'm a sprinter, and she doesn't identify me as an athlete. She doesn't think I'm a very athletic person for whatever reason, by the way. It's all good. Which, of course, I got offended, but it doesn't matter. So we do the race, and I win multiple times. And the point of this is she thought she'd beat me in a race, not based on logic or rationality. She thought she'd beat me in a race because she's a sprinter, which was her past identity. Our past identity determines what we think about ourselves and determines what we think about others, no matter how inaccurate. So all I'm really doing in coaching is I'm getting people to see themselves and the world more accurately based on identity work. And that's not it. Obviously, there's strategies and tactics too, but that's a big, big part of it. And I think that's kind of what this episode's about.
So I think I struggle with how to change an identity because I usually just change my behaviors first.
Yeah.
So if somebody's out there and they say, I want to be in better shape, but I don't know. Maybe it's not that they don't know how, but they don't identify as somebody who is active or into fitness or into health or nutrition, wellness, whatever it may be. What are the steps they can take?
They have to first realize that what are the first steps they can take? I think you're good at changing your identity because you're so good at changing your behavior. And I don't think many people are good at changing their behavior. I think changing behavior is really, really hard. I mean, writing my book consistently is like the hardest thing ever for me. Yeah. And one of the reasons why in this moment, I probably don't consider myself an author yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a fascinating thing, right? I'm not an author yet. So if you want to change your identity, you have to change your behavior. And this is something that I want to share with everyone. There's two things at all times that you can shift in yourself or others. And this is what I'm doing, and I help you with this often, Kev, so I'm glad we're doing this in real time here. You can change your perception or you can change your behavior. And so at all times, if Kevin comes to me and is having a challenge, there's either something that needs to change in his perception or his behavior, or both. And usually it's one or the other, though. And they're connected because your behavior determines your perception. And can you tell the story about being a baseball player and then being at the carnival again real quick? Because I think that's another perfect example of you having an identity that you're locked in on, even though there's zero evidence within the last decade that you're any good at this thing.
Yeah. I played baseball. I was a pretty good baseball player. I played for 9 years, 10 years. Every single year I played, I made the all-star team and all-star team. I was always in the top of the league. I was a pretty good baseball player. Taryn and I went to the Topsfield Fair. If you're in New England, you've probably heard of the Topsfield Fair. And there's like a carnival, and there's all these food stands and live music. And I was like, I'm going to win you a teddy bear, babe. Like, let me pick a game. I'm not going to play this one. I don't want to play the ring toss. I said, there's a baseball game. You throw the baseball and you got to break the bottles. I said, this is nothing. I got this. And I proceeded to just bounce like 5 or 6 of them off the ground. I wasn't even close. But in my mind, it was like, and this is the interesting contextual piece of it. compared to the average person who goes,
Yeah.
I assumed I was better, so it would be easier. Compared to, it's not like we're throwing somebody out that's stealing a base. I'm just trying to hit a glass jug. It shouldn't be that hard, right? So compared to the level of the challenge, my identity was this should be pretty easy. This should be pretty easy. And it wasn't. I did not win Taryn a teddy bear. So we had to go throw darts, and I ended up winning her a teddy bear there. And I learned a lot about economics at that circus. That's all, or that fair. That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, of course you did.
But Alan, I think it's interesting is...
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. I am a dental hygienist and a mom of 2 teenagers. I was first introduced to Kevin and Alan about 3 years ago, where I listened to a live Zoom training. I was really impressed with the value that they packed into that hour-long call, and that led me to their podcast page. I've been blessed to be able to be a student of them in that way through their podcast over the last 3 years, and the growth that I've seen in them, I guess, is what inspires me to keep coming back, because they not only talk the talk, but they walk the walk, and I see the changes in them, weekly, monthly, yearly. So that led me to book a consultation with Alan about 6 months ago, and I showed up to that call in the lowest spot that I have been at in my entire life. The empathy and compassion that he presented in that call, and how much work we still got done despite the state that I was in, was again very impressive to me, and I've been a one-on-one client ever since. Alan is someone that you want in your corner. I have grown so much over the past 6 months in my ability to make decisions, my confidence, the relationships that I have, my organization, my motivation, and I'm only just getting started. I've made so many big moves, and he is the biggest motivator and the biggest encourager, and he is a good human that genuinely wants the best in your life, your future, your love, your relationships, your wealth, and they just want to make the world a better place, and I believe that. And if you have the chance to be in the same room or on the same call or have these two in your life in any way, then you are blessed, and it is a gift. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for everything that you guys do and pour into everyone, and I'm just so excited to watch your journey keep unfolding and to be a part of that in any way that I can.
The question I think of and the question I ask is, where would you consider yourself an author? Is there a room where you would say, where you would introduce yourself as an author?
No, but I wouldn't introduce myself to others as an author, but I would write in my journal that I am a best-selling author. And I've done a lot of that. Long before I was a coach, I was saying I am a world-class coach. Yeah. Long before I was a business owner, I was saying that, right? Saying it to myself and writing it in my journal. And they're called my I am statements. And Kevin do you have I am statements as well?
No, I haven't journaled since, I believe it was...
circa 1972.
Whenever Forrest Gump came out. I think that was the last time I journaled. No, I haven't. Forrest Gump came out. I haven't been doing much of that.
That's full disclosure. That's one thing that you can do to change your identity. The other thing, when you asked me the original question of how does someone start changing their identity? Action will change your identity. Here's the problem though. People aren't very good. I don't think people are good at changing their behavior. And I'm not just saying that, like, I know some people who are really good at changing their behavior, almost too good. Emilia's a good example of this. Emilia changes her behavior so quickly that if she gets poor advice from someone who's unaware or gaslit about something, she'll actually change. And then she'll veer off course. Like, the amount that she goes from feedback to implementation, I've never seen a quicker turnaround. I mean, we talked about something last night. We do this joint playlist on Spotify. Do you know you can do that, by the way? When you go to the gym with Taryn, you can literally join her session and you can listen to the same playlist. It's awesome.
I did not
it's
know
an
that.
awesome new feature.
She doesn't want to listen to what I'm listening to. I can guarantee that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm listening to her playlist. It's actually pretty great. But anyways, so
I'm very particular about the violence in my ears when I'm working out there.
okay, sounds good. A lot of Eminem. But anyways, so we're listening to this playlist, and usually before we did this joint session, after the timer goes off and we're done our workout, I'll transition to something more peaceful. So it'll be like peaceful piano or meditation music or some sort of, something less intense. And we were walking out of the gym last night. I said, "Sweetheart, 1% improvement." And she's like, "What?" Because the music was still going. The song by Eminem, what's the one that came out in like 2012? It was in the Call of Duty commercial. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that would be Survival.
Yeah, exactly.
Survival. That is a banger. Such a good song.
So that's still hammering in my ears way after our workout's done, when we're putting our stuff away and we go to the bathroom, all that. And I said 1% improvement, babe, and she's like, "What?" Because we're just hammering this music. We're walking to the car under the moonlight, and we're still hammering that song. I'm like, "Do you mind from now on, once the workout's done, can we transition to something more peaceful?" And so, why was I telling this story? Oh, I guarantee you she'll start doing that now.
Yeah.
She'll implement that so quick. But I've also noticed that when her family gives her feedback or a friend gives her feedback, sometimes she'll implement to her detriment so quickly without questioning, like, "Babe, that's not valid for you. You don't have to make that change." And I've been very careful not to, because I know how quickly it'll leak into her behavior. I'm very careful to make sure the feedback I give is very valid and worth it and something that I think is aligned with her, not with my own selfish needs. Like in that example. So perception and behavior. I would say this, statistically speaking, based on all the people I've coached, behavior is way harder to change than perception. Most people are very good at just changing their ideas. So instead of going to the gym and doing the hard work, they'll just say, "I'll go tomorrow." They tell themselves a new story rather than actually take the action. And the reason why is because of comfort zone.
Yeah.
So Kev, you thought that hammering that baseball across the to hit those jugs or whatever was going to be really easy. You thought that was going to be in your comfort zone. Little did you know you were going to literally embarrass yourself, right? And you embarrassed yourself, and that was really uncomfortable. Now imagine.
No, it wasn't. It's not like I was like, I didn't lose sleep over it. It was more of like, that was what it was. Like, interesting. Okay.
Interesting. Now I have to reevaluate my identity.
I've lost it all, haven't I?
I've lost it, it turns out. But now imagine you didn't have the identity that you were going to crush it. Would you have still done it?
I don't know. And if I did and I didn't do well, would it have hurt? That's the other thing, is like you might do better than you think, depending on your identity.
You probably wouldn't have done it all together.
Yeah, probably not.
That's the problem, is if you didn't think, that's the problem. "Oh, I suck at Frisbee." Well, if you're going to suck at Frisbee forever if you're not willing. And it's uncomfortable to be bad at stuff at first. So to answer the original question about identity, and for the listeners, are you just telling yourself new stories all the time? New stories about yourself? "Oh, I'll go tomorrow. I'll start next week." And we're all guilty of this. It's cognitive biases. I mean, we got a lot going on here. Behavior change is the cure-all. I'm telling you. Behavior change, I coach a lot of people. It is way harder to change behavior than perception. I really believe that. I think human beings don't change their behavior very well. And that's why accountability and group coaching is so important, because we'll do anything to get out of discomfort. When your in-laws are coming over, right? You're going to clean the house. You're gonna. And it's not because you wanted to clean the house. My office is a mess over here, and I'm embarrassed. I mean, we did the Next Level Hope Foundation event. The shirts are still splayed across my office, right? And if her family were to come over, I would probably clean my office.
I'd probably shut the door.
I did. That's exactly what I did. They're not going to be up in my office, are they? But just understand that you won't change your behavior unless it must be. This is my truth. And then I'll let Kevin speak, I promise. The discomfort of not changing your behavior must be greater than the discomfort of changing your behavior. That is a fact. That is a neuroscientific fact. And the way you do that is go into the future and see the regret of, or see a photograph. Like you and I, when we saw the photos of group coaching, we were like, whoa, we need to change. Pain, there is some truth to no pain, no gain. You can take it too far, but there's some truth to that. And that's how you change your identity and your behavior. I think you do a really good job of it. You just got to be careful, because when you change your behavior, all of a sudden you embody this new identity, and it's like, do you understand the long-term implications of that identity? I think that's something to contemplate as well.
Yeah, this is fire. I enjoyed this. This is the approach that we're taking. I know the last few, not the last few, because Thursdays was a Q&A, but we're trying to figure out, and again, I know we said this, but we're trying to figure out how exactly to approach these episodes. I like the more laid back this. I think it's more organic, and it reminds me of what we used to do, where we never would have planned on talking about the fair and the baseball. Like, that never would have came up, most likely, if you and I had planned stories and planned lessons. So I think it's just as, if not more valuable. You want to say something because your mouth keeps opening up. What can I do for you?
I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
Ask you a question.
Go on.
You've changed your behavior in the last 5 years more than anyone I've ever seen.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. How did you do that?
I don't know. I don't think I'm a good example. Massive pain. I'm telling you, this is how it works for me. I either do what it takes or I don't get the result. That is all I'm thinking of every single day. Really, that's kind of the only reason I do what I do. And
Okay.
I understand that's not sustainable for most people.
But I think it works. I think it's
It works
good.
well
I'm that
for
way
me.
too.
Yeah, but I think your self-belief and your self-worth, although you and I have both had self-worth issues, that it doesn't hurt me to put myself down when I mess up.
What's your advice for listeners regarding changing their behavior and their identity? Because a lot of the listeners would love to change their life as much as you've changed yours.
I think you have to set a goal that forces you to change it. Really, I mean, it's the necessity. It's the necessity of, I have to be a podcaster. Like, I had to be a speaker. I had to be a coach long before I was one. Or at least remember, and if you're new to the podcast, you might not know this. It took me 150 podcast episodes before I felt confident as a podcaster. 150.
How did you do that?
I just kept trying to show up. I remember somebody asked me that on a podcast today, and it's so awesome because I've been having like so many retroactive breakthroughs. But I said, do you know, it was literally for me, just get through this one. And then when the next one comes, get through it. I remember there was literally weeks where it was like, and this was when we were very struggling financially. It was like, I just have to get through this week. I just got to get through this week and get to the next week. And then when I would get to the next week, it'd be like, I just got to get to the next week. That was literally it. I was literally living my life day to day. So I don't...
Yep.
Go ahead.
I don't know if that's
I know
sustainable.
that. I
Okay,
know
yeah,
that.
Go ahead.
That's why I don't know that I can give good advice based on this, because for me, I do the behavior for a long ass time before I feel like that's my identity. You know, like, I'm still, I don't know. I feel like a confident podcaster? Yes, but I'm still probably not. My identity probably isn't as locked in as when it comes to podcasting as it should be.
Why?
Self-belief, probably. Self-belief. I get on shows and I'm like, yeah, this person's probably better than me. That
Really?
happens. Yeah, that happens.
Is that ever true?
Rarely.
In podcasting? If you're
Rarely.
honest
I
with
think
yourself?
I do believe I'm world class. I do believe that. But there's that moment of, it's like, I think eventually your identity becomes your truth. I think there's layers. And my identity, if you put me in a room with 99 strangers, I would automatically, and I don't mean an ego, but I would automatically assume I'm the best speaker there.
Right.
Right? That's a subset of humans. Now, if you put me in a room with 100 other podcasters, I would have my doubts. I'll just put it that way.
Right.
Because I don't believe, it's not at the truth level of like, I am the best podcaster in the world. Hands down. I'm not there yet.
Right. Right. And I don't think that.
You better watch your words, bro.
No. It's interesting.
You have a coaching
Identity is
call,
affecting
sir.
everything.
You have a coaching
That's
call.
what I know. I gotta
In 5
go. Oh
minutes.
my god, 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure you get out of here. I have
Last
the identity.
thing I gotta say here. I thought
I
we
have
were going
the identity
organic.
of somebody who makes sure Jeff is on time. That's my identity.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I need to put that identity. I am on time. I am someone who is always on time. No, I have a call with Melanie. I'm super pumped for it. So last thing here, identity is very, very much a massive part. If you get nothing else from this episode, identity is a massive part of whether or not you will succeed or not in the long run, because in order to, you will never, I remember I heard this by Tony Robbins way early on in my personal development. It is nearly impossible to consistently behave in a manner that is inconsistent with what you believe about yourself. It is very difficult to consistently behave inconsistent with who you believe you are. We always find a way to show up for who we are. And if you start working on that, what you say, think, do, feel, and believe leak into your identity. And if you start being more intentional about that process, I promise you, you'll see some changes.
Fire. Next Level Nation, we shout out to the wonderful Alessandro. Our entire website, nextleveluniverse.com, is completely rebuilt. We have both of our courses up there. As of the time of recording, I'm not sure about our Next Level Live 2022 course. I'm not sure if it's ready for purchase yet. We will make sure we keep you in the loop. But head over to nextleveluniverse.com. Check out the new website. We have a bunch of new stuff there, the courses, all of that happy jazz. That is going to be the hub where you'll be able to find everything. Alan's coaching, Next Level Business Solutions, Next Level Podcast Solutions, Next Level Web Solutions. Everything will be there. That will be the hub for all of our services and events and retreats and all that happy jazz. So shout out to Alessandro for making it so wonderful.
Thank you, Alessandro. Every single one of our services has 3 levels to it. There's an introductory level, there's level 1, 2, and 3 essentially. And so you can start small and you can build. Also, if you are not yet a part of Next Level Nation, all of our listeners are in there, engaging with each other, working on their identities. Please join us. One of the problems with being into growth and personal development is you feel alone, especially in the beginning. You don't have to be alone. You're not alone. One of the coolest parts about the internet is that you can find a community of like-minded people from all over the world that are all passionate about the same core value, aka in this case, holistic self-improvement. So please join us in there. The link will be in the show notes. Show notes.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1035. You shouldn't expect everyone to believe in you. I was very excited when I chose this topic. This week, I chose all of the topics, I think, other than, I think all of them. And some of them Alan don't even know. So Alan didn't even know we're going to do that episode. He didn't even know we're going to do this episode.
Alan don't even know.
Alan don't even know. All right, Alan's got 2 minutes before his next call. Yep. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.